Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. This is LL3's newest podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful land of enchantment, which is known as the state of New Mexico. And today's date, it is Tuesday, August 4th, 2015. Oh yeah, I just said, what the heck? Just had to pick my brain a little bit, and I just saw a couple things I find very interesting as well. Which, is how it is how I am. So I'm just gonna start off with update on Mark Iannicelli, arrest for jury nullification education. This was written by Kristen Tyan from Fully Informed Jury Association. I know I did it earlier one today, so let's just see what it has to say in their article as well. And it says here, since the Denver DA issued a press release on the arrest last week of Mark Iannicelli for handing out jury nullification flyers, I gave the contact person listed therein call this morning to see about getting this information on the case. She forwarded me the complaint and information as well as a probable cause statement, which we now have available for anyone to take a look at on a special page we set up for this case. Yes, and I have read it, and you know what? I have to laugh. Dumb, stagnant, and happy. What the district attorney from Denver did. But there's a link on there. You can see it for yourself. 7 charges listed in the complaint and information provide very little information. 7 separate charges are listed because, according to my telephone conversation with Lynn Kimbrough from the Denver's DA's office, jury nullification materials were found in the possession of 7 different jurors, or possibly potential jurors. Now that I'm writing this up, I don't think I asked that. I did ask if the 7 individuals were all sitting on the same case. Ms. Kimbrough did not know the answer to that. Charges don't discuss specifically what Mr. Iannicelli is accused of doing, but rather seem to regurgitate the language of the statute, which he is accused of violating CRS 18-609 for all counts, and then claim that he violated, allegedly, of course, even the names of the people who had jury nullification information in their possession are redacted. The statement of probable cause, however, sheds a little more light on things, as it reads as follows. The probable cause of the arrest of the above-named individual as follows. The defendant, Mark Iannicelli, was identified by the Denver District Attorney Lamar Sims as handing out literature in front of 520 West Colfax Avenue, the Lindsay Flanagan Courthouse, to actual and potential state and city jury members. A cardboard sign signed with jury info was positioned at the entrance to the courthouse. Oh my goodness! Bring out the air raid sirens. And my dog Jake is looking at me funny. Alright, what it says here. Several jurors were contacted by Denver Police Intelligence Unit and were found to be in possession of flyers handed out by the defendant. The defendant was identified to reporting officers by members of the intelligence unit. Upon contact, officers explained the reason for the contact, including that police had been informed of the defendant handing out information to potential jurors. 1984. When asked for his name and date of birth, the defendant refused to provide any information. The defendant was taken into custody for investigation of jury tampering, and a Colorado driver's license was located in his wallet. The flyers were recovered as evidence and were titled, "All you need to know about jury nullification. I'm gonna have a cow and take a dump in my pants. Oh my goodness. Run to the hills." Alright. At the time of the offense, the death penalty case was underway at the same location, 520 West Colfax Avenue. So anyone that's interested in handing out jury information and having free speech signs saying vote no victim, no crime, do it in front of the courthouse and drive those vultures crazy. Yeah, exactly. Even to the Denver's DA say they are proud to be less patriotic than Benedict Arnold. That'd be a great sign to put up there, right? Absolutely. Go ahead. You got my permission out there if you live in Denver. What is interesting about this description is that, one, it does not accuse Mr. Iannicelli of advocating for or against any case in progress. Two, it does not accuse Mr. Iannicelli even of targeting individuals for sharing information with them based on whether or not they were a juror or they were for jury duty. And three, a death penalty case happened to be going on in the courthouse at the time of the jury's rights educational outreach. That death penalty case, by the way, does not appear to be the Aurora shooting trial that is currently in the national spotlight. I looked it up. That seems to be taking place at the Upper Road at Parafold County Courthouse, also in Denver. Oh, excuse me here. Whoops. From my reading of CRS 18-8-609, which says, 1. A person commits jury tampering if, with intent to influence the juror's vote, opinion, decision, or other actions in the case, he attempts directly or indirectly to communicate with a juror other than as a part of the proceedings in the trial of the case. 1.5. A person commits jury tampering if he knowingly participates in the fraudulent processing or selection of jurors or prospective jurors. What? 2. Jury tampering is a Class 5 felony, except that jury tampering in any Class 1 felony trial is a Class 4 felony. Interesting here. I see nothing in that statement of probable cause substantiating these accusations. The charges allege that Mr. Iannicelli acted with intent to influence a juror's vote, opinion, decision, and action in a case. But nowhere in the statement of probable cause I do see anything that indicates such. When I give someone information on their full legal authority as a juror, I'm not telling them to vote one way or another. I'm merely presenting them a complete picture of all other options, including the right of jury nullification. They will typically either not be informed about or will be explicitly misinformed about once they get into a courtroom. What they do with the information is up to them. They may choose to exercise that right in the case before them, or may choose not to exercise it. That's up to them. Nothing I've heard from any of the local people who saw the arrest and or know Mr. Iannicelli indicates that he was doing anything other than fully informing people all about their options jurors have. Statement of the probable cause, which includes, does not indicate anything beyond presenting people with all of options that jurors can exercise, is consistent with that. The distinction in a similar case years ago with regard to a similar federal jury tampering statute was recognized by the judge in that case, and she currently dismissed the indictment. Previous coverage of this case was man sharing jury nullification arrested in Denver. So that's like the update. So I have to say this to the dimwits of the Denver District Attorney's Office. You don't have a damn clue, do you? Lynn Kimborough or Mr. Sims, doesn't matter. You don't have a confounded clue on what you're doing. I'll say this for a fact, friends, or tyrannical stooges, whatever. I know one thing for sure. Based on what I read on the probable cause, information and all that, I find this case unmeritable, invalid, null and void. You better start reading Article 2 of your state constitution, because as far as I'm concerned, you're breaching your oath in your position. Plain and simple. And I did put this on there on the past episode. So I'll add it in there one more time so you folks can look at it yourself instead of go scrapping around finding the archives. So, because I definitely say this, based on these charges, it does not supersede Article 2, Section 3, Section 6, no, not 6, 3, 10, 11, and hold on, 28. Okay, so look that up. I will add Article 2 again on my footnotes. This is from Justia U.S. Law, and it's pretty accurate. It does coexist with the state constitution as well. So definitely check that out, folks. I do have to laugh, like I did before. These people is going to get a lot more they can chew on, and you know what? If this goes through a trial and they lose, I think the DA, I believe the district attorney is elected in Denver County, do a recall on that person, please. The county of Denver. You'll be doing yourselves a favor. You don't need tyrants. You don't need individuals that make Benedict Arnold look like a patriot. Okay? So, I am going to continue on here. Something very comical, I would say. This came out yesterday. It's from guns.com, written by Jennifer Cruz. It's entitled, New Jersey County Gun Buyback nets nearly 400 firearms, including Uzi. So I'm just wondering how many criminals turn in their weapons. All right. We'll just see what these dumbed-down program does here. It goes a 2-day gun buyback event in Monmouth County, New Jersey, over the weekend brought it more than 360 guns in 2 days, breaking last year's record several hours before the gun buyback ended. Among the surrendered wares were an Uzi, a replica AK-47, a 22 caliber Calico M100 with a 100-round magazine. According to NJ.com, the buyback was held Friday and Saturday at the county prosecutor's office in Asbury Park and a fire station in Kingsburg. All exchanges were completely anonymous, no questions asked, and participants received a $25 for a shotgun and a rifle, $100 for a handgun, and $200 for assault weapons. All payments were in cash, which totaled more than $25,000 and came from anonymous donors and county forfeiture funds. Yeah, sure. Your tax dollars at work, the Garden State. Pathetic. Although they could still be turned in, no compensation was provided for a BB gun, and non-working firearms and ammunition and magazines were also accepted. Charles Webster, spokesman for the Monmouth County Prosecutor's Office, said they've been doing gun buybacks for 25 years and always have gotten a good response, but they're especially happy with this year's turnout. I can dream about it. The gun back program will make me feel safe. All right, I will continue on here. Webster said that the process for turning in unwanted weapons is simple. Yep, if you're a criminal and used it in a crime, it can be disposed or they can resell it. Criminal disposal centers, yep. And I will continue here. You show up, you hand us a weapon, we give you cash, you walk out the door, he said. How much easier could you make it? Once the firearm is surrendered, authorities check the serial number to determine if it's stolen. If the gun is returned to the rightful owner, but if not, the weapon is melted down and destroyed. Webster said they make no exceptions, not even for unique, antique, or otherwise collectible firearms. Webster did not elaborate on the recycling process or where it occurs, but did say one facility melts the metal down and makes it into a rebar. Webster said it's important for them to collect unwanted guns and that not all gun owners are responsible. Sometimes storing firearms improperly and increasing the likelihood of them being stolen and therefore ending up on the streets. And that's what ends up killing people and cops, he said. Yeah, sure, really. Huh. In addition to a 9mm Uzi Calico M100 AK-47 replica, authorities filled buckets with hundreds of revolvers and pistols, while trash cans were occupied with shotguns and rifles. Oh, yeah. You know what, man? Kenhai Shek will be proud. So would be Joseph Stalin and Mao Tse-tung. Yeah, they're just in their realm. Go, ha, 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 ha. You guys are stupid. That's right. The people in New Jersey need to wake up. And don't get me wrong. You know what's funny? Like I said, I'm not going to add the Second Amendment to crime. Okay, that's totally irrelevant. It's null and void. Okay, when you gonna say that about, well, the Second Amendment creates crime? No, it doesn't. It's a separate entity. But this, my friends, is nothing more than a criminal invitation facility. Stash your evidence, and no questions asked. We'll give you money, even if you're a career criminal. Right? So this is why I really find this disturbing, unacceptable, and you know what? Mammoth County, New Jersey makes Benedict Arnold look like a real American patriot. And you know what? And I don't give a damn what you think of me and the people of New Jersey if you're for these gun buyback programs, big gun buyback programs, because there's nothing more than what I said before, a criminal evidence disposable agenda. All right? Here's one thing, my friends. Your natural-born rights supersede these stupid, pathetic laws. And as far as I'm concerned, you're being bribed. And I don't really buy about anonymous donors and all that. You know, I don't buy that whatsoever. Who's involved? David Rockefeller and George Soros, allegedly. Okay, so you're going to be shooting yourselves in the foot. And one more thing to the people in the Garden State. The police are not obligated to protect you as an individual. You are the first line defense when it comes to crime, especially if someone breaks in your home. You have common law. Use these weapons as self-defense against all forms of tyranny, street crime, government corruption, etc. I'd like to thank Jennifer Cruz who put this out. And I'm glad to address this and take my views. So I will continue on here. Here's an interesting thing happened over here from All News Pipeline. I don't know how accurate this is, but always observe responsibly. And this is one that is entitled, Amazing Video Shows Grocery Store Completely Destroyed After All Hell Breaks Loose During Food Riots. It's by Stephen Stanford. All News Pipeline, live free or die. With Puerto Rico now on a financial hot seat in our backyard after defaulting on some of their debt this weekend, with more default on the way and growing health care crisis to contend with. The shocking new videos below from Venezuela should be enough to turn every remaining collapsed skeptic in America into prepper immediately. As we see what happens when a socialist utopia paradise goes wrong. These videos and the agonizing pictures below are some of the most dramatic that we've seen yet of what's happening in Venezuela, and will definitely give our readers an idea of what might happen here in America when all comes crashing down. This is why military and government are preparing for something huge across America. Executive Order 13603 already in place that will give Barack Obama, at the time of his choosing, complete control over all forms of energy, all forms of civil transportation, all usable water from all sources, all commodities and products capable of being ingested by humans or animals, or all health resources. The picture and videos below are stark, in our face warning about what happens when socialism fails. In the first video, we see a supermarket in Venezuela that looks like a herd of bulls got done rampaging in a China shop. Remember what happened in America with the EBT system went down for a short time. Imagine the scenes below and playing out in every supermarket across the country. Let's pray it doesn't come to this. Second video below is absolutely numbs the mind. A food line for milk powder. Imagine having to go through that every day to get milk. The final video shows the streets of Venezuela, which have now become a war zone. Warning, graphic footage. More on what we're watching unfold in Venezuela, Puerto Rico, and around the world. Below videos including some mind-boggling pictures that should put everything into perspective for all of us. We are truly blessed here in America now. Do these videos pics show our future? Interesting comments below from Laura Myers at Libertarian Republic, completely unedited. Says here, the ideas of socialism sounds good to wealthy, well-fed, idealistic, hipster college students who have thrived off the fruits of capitalism while remaining ignorant to its benefits. But to Venezuelans, the reality of centralized control has become an everyday struggle for survival. And you get just some relations on there too. Like birth certificates and IDs to buy diapers. So there's lots of stuff here. I don't know how accurate this is, so I'm just giving you a heads up. Basic needs of people are not being met in the South American country where socialism is in full effect. They have been shortages of toilet paper and diapers, people who have to wait in line to pay over $700 for a condom, and most recently government asking the share of produce from shopkeepers following a food crisis. There's a link about the 755 condoms in Venezuela now. Guess why? Just don't know. All this is happening while President Nicolas Maduro of the United Socialist Party continues for price controls, regulations, and seizures of products on small businesses. Clearly not the most effective tactic for economic growth. You can say neo-mercantilism, okay? It's pretty related when you think about that. And they talk about, government forces companies to hand out over foods as shortages intensify. And he has videos on here, recording, talks about shows and the pharmacy inside of his local market has been emptied, the ATM has been broken and looted, and the computer's cash registers have been stolen from the front in order to sell off for money. Capitalist America may be fat and weird, but I'd much rather walk into a Walmart and deal with dirty rednecks and a naked cowboy than walk in and find this. Yeah, I gotta say, I'm not a Walmart guy, but I understand what that person's saying. I'm just gonna look at some of these videos and see how, see what they have to say here. Just hang tight. Yeah, these are pretty short. Yeah, you can see in the video in the drugstore from Live Leak. Yeah, it's like place got raided. Looks like it got raided. Everything's got swapped. Stuff was on the floor. It's like a lot of looting. It reminds me of looters to an extent. So that was like pretty not too pretty, I would say. So yeah, the place is real empty. Something like this people should learn, but that's why urban farming is really good to know, and everyone should start learning, working together on this. Like the woofing program is really good too, because you could help people on the land, and you can get a place to stay. You help them grow food. You get what they need. You can work with them. So it's more like batering, it gets called. Like the Greeks are doing right now. But it's really, really neat. So we got to focus more on the local level, local community. That'll be the best thing to do within the United States. This is just an example. It's happening worldwide. And Lord God forbid, wherever your creed is, shouldn't happen over here. But based on everything what's occurring, it's not too pretty. But it's very empty. We'll check out the food line for milk powder. And they're just tossing it out there, man. You got everyone. It reminds me of a Black Friday shopping spree on steroids. They're just tossing the powder milk out, and people are fighting and grabbing it on here. And then there's some people are rustling over these bag powdered milk. As I say, tell the people, hit and run, man. That would be your best bet. Yeah, what's happening when you say government knows best? Everything's a cluster. It actually blows back in people's faces. Yeah, pretty wild stuff here. I'm going to stop that. Here's another video. People rioting, are trying to raid a store. They're getting food. They're all looting for food. It looks like military and is out there. It's like technically Venezuela's under martial law based on these conditions, which is a real shame because you got some beautiful people out there in that country, good folks, real good folks, and this is a real shame that these people got to depend on government for food and all that. And it's really a shame. And looks like someone got beaten up for it, got battered up, which is horrible because they don't know what their next meal is. So it's like, you could say zombified environment, in my honest opinion. Yeah, it's not good at all. Person's really banged up. You got more people raiding stores. Really shame, yeah? And we got photos here. People waiting in line. And places are emptying out. Imagine, we have to go through this line. So people in America need to wake up too, including the rest of the world. This is not really attractive, okay? Very, absolutely nefarious as far as I'm concerned. Food control and all that. And even Joseph Stalin, there's claim that Joseph Stalin did that with the Ukrainians. And that's a real disheartening thing to see that, and I just really find this really disturbing, my friends. And this is why, as a freedom lover, sovereign thinker, we got to be more self-reliant. Let's try to work, have other systems on working together and having the government get out of our faces, okay? That's the thing. It's like, it may not be perfect, but get the federal government out of our lives. Okay, well, that's why if anyone, whether it's Barack Obama or another president after him, try to exercise these things, you should just tell them to shut them down and tell your governor to hell with the bastards in Washington, D.C., because they have no right telling us how to live. We own our bodies, they don't. This is what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to play the manipulating game using his Ed Benitez propaganda playbook. And you got to say to hell with them, okay? This is how I feel, and hopefully do the same. We'll definitely check this out. And this is interesting here on a lot of cases, a lot of accidental death from police-related stuff. Here's a report from Truth in Media by Ben Swan. And it came out yesterday. It's like, report, police brutality protests led to reforms in measures in 24 states. And it's by Rachel Belvins, came out, the 4th. So a series of protests against police brutality throughout the United States over last year has led to the passage of several reforms measures nationwide, representing just a fraction of all proposed measures. And it says here, nearly 1 year after Michael Brown was shot and killed by former police officer Darren Wilson in Ferguson, Missouri, a series of protests against police brutality have led to 40 new police reform measures being passed in 24 states, just a fraction of all the measures that have been proposed. Analysis conducted by the Associated Press found that while legislators in almost every state have proposed changes the way police interact with the public, the measures that have been passed address issues such as body cameras officers wear, how officers are trained concerning racial bias, independent investigations into police use of force, and military equipment used by local police departments. In addition, in protests in Ferguson after the death of Michael Brown in August 2014, which were met with militarized police force, protests have erupted over police brutality in several cities such as New York, where Eric Garner was choked to death by a police officer, and Baltimore, where Freddie Gray died after suffering a severe spinal injury while in police custody. The Associated Press reported that despite the measures that have passed, far more proposals have stalled or failed, and only a few states have changed laws concerning when police are justified to use deadly force. The most popular measures, which surrounding the use of body cameras worn by police officers, were passed in 16 states, according to the analysis. Body cameras have played a vital part in revealing the accurate set of events in cases, such as the recent shooting of Samuel DuBose, in which body camera officer Ray Tenzing was wearing revealed that he was lying about the only shooting DeBose after he was dragged down the street in DeBose's car. Report noted that Colorado, Connecticut, and Illinois were the only 3 states to pass comprehensive packaging of legislation encouraging body cameras, boosting police training on such as racial biases, and requiring independent investigations when police shoot people. And that Colorado and Connecticut were among several states that bolster citizens' rights to take videos of police. That's right. So the people and the police in those states are complaining about it. Read your state constitutions, you bunch of illiterates. Those are the ones who are complaining about it, all right? Investigative journalist Ben Swan addressed the root of police militarization in an episode on Truth and Media in December 2014. Swan noted that while local police departments having access to military equipment was a problem, a larger problem existed surrounding the use of military tactics by police officers. There's a video footage for that, and Rachel Belvin did a good job. And the whole thing is this, and the police are being trained more aggressively. They're not giving them the peace officer attributes, but revenue collecting, okay? I call them deputies of Nottingham, and that's totally unacceptable. And, of course, if you read that book, Arrest Proof Yourself, which I have the guy's name on top of my head, which I forgot. Damn. Shoot. I'm sorry about that. But he's from Jacksonville, Florida, so just type in Arrest Proof Yourself in YouTube, you'll find him. The guy's really good, man. He was a former cop in Miami. He was a former FBI agent that opened up the Miami Rivers Cops case in the 1980s when a lot of Miami police officers were involved in cocaine and shooting narcs and so forth. So it's like very disturbing, my friends. But definitely should check that out. So, that's all I got to say about that. You know, like, hey, we got to be peace officers rather than deputies of Nottingham. Plus, people can make a difference. Now you got technology. Use these cameras. You remember, citizen journalism is equal to higher journalists from the Sun Sentinel. So you got the same rights, freedom of the press, on the First Amendment U.S. Constitution, and your state constitutions as well. First and Ninth Amendments in the U.S. Constitution, and look at your state constitutions wherever you're at, and even the ones from around the world, from other parts of the country. You should read your constitutions on freedom of the press also, because you guys have those rights and exercise them, okay? I know many of you are, and others should take the initiative to do the same thing. Okay, so this next one here, I forgot to look at it. I was talking about it earlier today, in my early episode, but this is from the Iowa Free Press, and this one's entitled, Controversial Israel Billboard Goes Live in Des Moines. And it says here, StopTheBlankCheck.org, that's the name of the group, paid for by AmericansNew.org. Big sign in Des Moines, Iowa, says $10 billion a day to Israel. Our money is needed in America. 10 million. So it's a little over $3 billion they get in foreign aid in Israel, okay? And it says here, the political season in Iowa is heating up with 2 controversial billboards in Des Moines displaying a message critical of the relationship between Israel and the United States. Passerby can see an image of $100 bills swirling down the drain accompanied by the following bulletin, $10 million a day to Israel. Our money is needed in America. On digital billboards on Fleur Drive and Ingersoll Avenue. The billboards are sponsored by If Americans Knew, a nonprofit group that describes itself as an organization dedicated to educating Americans about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. It was founded by group's executive director, Allison Weir, an American journalist who gives presentations and lectures about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict at universities across the country. The group cites a report published by the Congressional Research Service on June 10, 2015, which states that Israel is the largest cumulative recipient of U.S. foreign assistance since World War II. To date, the United States has provided Israel $124.3 billion current or non-inflation adjusted dollars in bilateral assistance. According to an email from the team at if Americans knew, our government funds Israel's military and blocks Palestinians' step at self-determination, perpetuating injustice, violence, and tragedy in the region, and stirring up more resentment against the United States of America. It is our belief that if the electorate is aware of our role in this conflict, they will demand that candidates and officials in Congress stop our blank check to Israel. It is imperative if there is to be true peace in the region. The group initially tried to run billboards in March with an alternative caption that reads, $10 million a day to Israel just doesn't make sense. They were told by Media Advertising Clear Channel, who owns the billboard space, that the companies considered the message to be anti-Jewish and would not run them until the wording of the bulletin was changed. Well, I have to disagree with that. Clear Channel was contacted by Iowa Free Press, but have not been available for comment. The billboards are part of a nationwide campaign led by the organization. Des Moines was selected for billboard placement because it is such a crucial location in terms of electoral politics, according to a statement issued to Iowa Free Press. The billboards are expected to be displayed for 3 weeks. You know what I say? Welcome to freedom of speech, my friends. If people get offended by that, who the hell cares? And here's one thing you gotta ask these folks. Sometimes I hear a lot of double standards from individuals and even politicians. I won't say any names in good faith when they talk about redistribution of wealth. It's not good for working class. They know the socialism of fool's gold, but they support foreign aid to certain nations. Can we say double standards? Oh, yes. And this is why I find this unacceptable. Having foreign nations tell us who should we donate money to and all that. It doesn't matter if they're Jewish or Arab, doesn't matter. It's irrelevant, unacceptable. If you look up John Jay's Fellows Papers 3 to 5 on influencing nations and other entities, how dangerous it is to our new nation back then. And this is why I gotta say, I want to see all foreign aid be terminated. If you want to donate money to a certain country, voluntary, then that's your business. But don't tell me where our money goes, or my money goes, or the people's money goes, because some political dingleberries in Washington, D.C. say so. We got to be a republic again, not an empire. This is another example of imperialism. Alright, so this is why some people don't like what I say, others respect it. Because I say this in good faith. I'm not here to crucify or condemn countries, anything like that. It's just a lot of dirty politics happens around that time. Alright. Finally, it was a little bit more humbling, down to earth. It is very interesting. It's from wakeupworld.com. The contributor writes for Wake Up World. They have a thing, it's entitled, hold on here. Make it nice and big. Yeah, what the hell. Bingo. Why not? And it's entitled Intervention on Earth, a synthetic system of control. And it says here, what is the intervention agenda here on Earth? Increasingly, spiritual community sites are talking about an interdimensional intervention that has been taking place here on Earth. Such discussions are met with anything from courageous support, quiet agreement, or with resistance and outright incredulity. Where are they? Is often. Where is the evidence? Well, first, the intervention can be observed by its effects. The creation is a synthetic reality of control. But if you actually want to see these entities, it is with the inner eye that you must look. We must fully tuned into our feelings and thoughts. It is only then that the patterning of behavioral experiences yields a top-down, multidimensional review. From this perspective, what might the intervention agenda be? ancient agenda. First, it is important to say I totally understand people's skepticism to this challenging subject. In fact, I would encourage people to be skeptical, but at the same time, open to possibility, especially when you consider the outright lunacy that masquerades as leadership within our society these days, which is leading to the rapid, inexorable destruction of 3D Earth. So, what I personally have to share, I don't expect people to necessarily take at face value. Instead, I offer my point of view to cause people to explore and delve deeper, to stand open in order that we may truly appreciate the fullness of what's really going on. I have encountered this opposing consciousness knowingly, countless times over many lifetimes. I know what they're about and what they're up to. You could only truly make sense of what's going on in society by understanding the influence on it. What's more important still, we will never heal the situation here on Earth until we have fully engaged this intervention consciousness and dealt with it, which I hasten to add, it is in our capability to achieve. I wrote in some detail about opposing consciousness background here in intervention on Earth and interdimensional opposing consciousness. At this highest level, it is formless, which is why some of my grandiose glamorizations actually inhibit a fully understanding. So it is a source is a distorted and controlling consciousness which seeps into your deeper, higher dimensional being. It is more like a virus. Acting through the field, it can only come in because of the distortion of one's ego makes of reality. Examples are of identification with the physical, including fear and lack of trust in not having enough, avoidance, insensitivity and denial of your deep inner self, or devolving personal responsibility to some high power. It could be excessive consumption or control, or trying to control life. This internal efforting creates inner blind spots, making people susceptible to the intervention energy. You could view it as an extension of your own ego, which is fine. Something which across society has gotten out of control, forming an intelligent collective consciousness which pervades the majority. But those who are sensitive to the field will feel, see, and experience the interdimensional entities that resides in that consciousness. Awareness is the key to breaking this intervention, because it can only act within your inner consciousness blind spots, where you switch off and become automated in any way, which includes distancing oneself in bliss or denial. That's why I'm urging as many as possible with ears to hear to get to know this consciousness, that more may overcome and raveling it within their own being, which is the only place it can truly be confronted and dissolved. The original human in you has the capacity to do this. I am knowing humanity has an inner code which, when activated, was designed to overcome the intervention and unwind for the benefit of all others. But first, we must fully be informed and aware. That is interesting stuff here, so I will continue on. If we truly want to appreciate the extent of this agenda, we must look deep into the patterns of thought and emotion that we constantly express. These entities excel at distraction and deception. They want to grab your attention and direct it outwards into the external drama, or they want it to fill you with excitotoxins that you cannot feel what exactly is going on with your own bodily field. In so doing, they can manipulate your field, resonating specific vibrations and inserting energetic implants such that their vibration becomes as white noise when you quickly become accustomed and desensitized to. A limiting field of consciousness has been created which is practically everywhere. Humanity has become so accustomed to that that it is slipped into quiet background of your psyche. Almost got the hiccups there. Sorry about that. Make no mistake, these entities are likely acting in some way within your field, stimulating thought, exacerbating emotion, creating patterns of behavior that work to keep you in a limited level of consciousness. Because that's the very nature of Homo sapiens, a being purposefully downgrade to fit with a synthetic reality, one we must now evolve beyond. And nowhere is that intervention more prevalent than in spiritual circles, because for them it's their last line of defense before humanity reclaims his sovereignty. When someone goes out of their body in bliss, for example, or shuts off the physical through non-dualistic denial, then those entities are essentially free to work within your field, distorting the path and natural flow of the soul, ultimately blocking the connection to the source. For an example, an energy implant near the third eye will distract attention from the third eye, because reality is created from what your attention is focused on. If you're not fully feeling your main chakras, then you become quickly limited to the denser vibrations. It is like sitting in an orchestra where the bass drum is overriding the more suitable frequencies. Eventually, the bass drum is all you hear. It might be that implant in the crown chakra keeps taking out of the physical density, but into a fourth density illusionary bubble that's then manipulated. Alternatively, you're artificially revved to project anger and blame onto others. Again, this is in itself is extremely disempowering. It means you're less likely to access the source of the reality you create. You may awaken first to an intellectual understanding of the service level conspiracy, Illuminati pawns that leverage society. Then when you awaken consciously as you connect to the unifying field, you may get a sense of it being unbalanced, but it would be easy to pass this off simply as an aspect of your own ego, as many do. It is only when you are walking the spiritual path fully, making constant conscious choice in every movement, that you become a fully multidimensional. This is essential to its comprehensive understanding. You now read the interplay of events, not just at a surface level, but your consciousness is weaving together the patterning behind circumstances, forming an inner consciousness landscape, wherein the full story of what's taking place comes ingloriously into view. It is not that you necessarily see these entities. It's like the sonar system of a bat. It constantly reading the echoes in the field and forming a full inner picture of what is its radar scan. This is how you see and appreciate the majority of opposing consciousness. The agenda on Earth. I say their agenda here is becoming increasingly obvious. It has been played out time and again in other constellations that many of us can remember from past life experiences. Right now, the intervention here is well advanced, pulling the strings of power from being behind the scenes. This consciousness has come close to an almost complete takeover. We see more obvious external effects of this in the outright control of the media, a ramping up of a police and security state, the bogus war on terror, the stranglehold of big business and banking, control and manipulation of the food chain, and increasing attempts at internet censorship. Equally, malevolence has been working tirelessly to unwind the intervention. The situation here is very dense. The field very knotted. It's like an anchor has been established in the universal flow, which By the law of attraction, cosmic energies have been drawn here to help balance the playing field. And the stronger the intervention gets, the greater of the unwinding energies it draws to it, until the entirety of the universe is working to unravel it. I understand this deeply. That's why I know in my heart this realignment will succeed. The movement by Gaia into the fifth density at the end of 2012 was specifically designed to help facilitate this. But the immediate question is now, how many of humanity will escape the intervention and join her? The specifics. The opposing consciousness excels at creating what I call synthetic realities. You and I are now living in one, metaphored wonderfully in the popular film The Matrix, of course. But can you imagine just how limiting and dehumanizing this very real Matrix is? Can you imagine the extent to which it is now progressing? One of the main foundation stones the OC has set in place is a vibrational grid matrix that plays two key frequencies. One is that we might call an ELF, extra low frequency pulse, designed to bring both the Earth and our vibration down. It traps the lower aspect of the soul, the lower self, in very dense vibrations that are disconnected from the higher source and your higher self. It is an energy of excessive consumption which plays on sense of lack and disconnection from the divine. It is about winner and loser, profits and loss, the dog-eat-dog mentality. It consumes the ego and separates souls from the source. It plays on the warrior aspect of the soul, distorting it into control and power. You can heal it by expressing this warrior energy, but realigning it into positive, creative, and uplifting activities. I've shared more in this article, Healing the Divine Warrior, and this video guided mediation, Healing the Wounded Dragon meditation. Another frequency they play is more high pitch one, which I call false love and light. Is that kind of bliss out experience that many in spiritual circles actually crave, because initially at least it takes them out of the pain of incarnation. That's why we need to be extremely careful with light work that takes people out of the body. The risk is you disconnect from the lower self, which then becomes all too easy to deny, or else it risks allowing in unwanted energies. To truly evolve, you have to penetrate all aspects of the lower self with surrendered softness. No retracting nor rejecting it. Various levels of denial is a crucial problem for evolving people. In terms of relinquishing attachment, there is a distinct tendency to want to quickly drop the hot coals, but before feeling the real heat. My observation is that all too frequency light work practices are not actually confronting people with their deep inner consciousness, the karmic pain where this intervention is taking place. It leads to a surface level of intellectual enlightenment, but actually divorced from authentic reality. Transcendence, the path to freedom. 3 key tenets of the Matrix. So in outline terms, this is the scope of the limiting grid matrix that has been established, but it goes much deeper with other frequencies interwoven and embedded. The agenda has been moving forward full scale to create a synthetic reality, of which I see 3 key tenets. Geoengineering. Chemtrails, for example, which contains heavy metals, will appear to have a main distinct purpose of managing accelerating climate change, Willis, driving the continuation of the consumptive agenda. But it also has been reported that the aerosols contain nanotechnology which can infuse the body and be used to influence DNA. It is clear our DNA has already been hybridized from the original human form. So and they want to talk about climate change, you bring this up. GMO, genetically modified food, is a crucial part of replacing the natural ecosystem of our planet. Where there is a natural vibration, there is always the risk to the intervention that a realignment with the source will happen and the intervention unraveled. That's why connecting with nature is so important to the people in the awakening movement. The more these natural frequencies can be dampened, the more the overriding frequencies of the matrix will be felt. It's why eating as much natural and organic food is essential to evolving people. They are correct. To learn more, please read the article Connecting the Dots, Vaccines, Heavy Metals, GMOs, and Brain Damage by the late Dr. Isla Sandra Palingeri. And there's all links here too, so you can always examine this article. Okay, folks? Advanced technology. The intervention agenda is invested in maintaining and amplifying the status quo that we currently witness, one which is out of sync with the natural order of life. It's using high-tech transhumanistic strategies which creates a barrier from higher source connectivity. Right now, due to the expansion of the matrix, the Earth's natural systems are being increasingly suppressed. What is essential to the awakening movement is to begin to organize in sustainable self-support and virtual community groups like openhandweb.org, wakeupworld.com, for example, which is why the transition towns movement is so invaluable. It's about learning to live with less and discovering that less is very much more. It is not the extent of it by any means, just the main tenets, which are purposefully being rolled out to create synthetic reality here on Earth, which human souls are intended to be enslaved within. In fact, that has already happened to an advanced degree, with many souls having been removed from the natural cycle of reincarnation, their karmic memories being wiped so that the soul may be recycled into successive vehicles within the limiting agenda. It is one reason why the takeover has thus far been so effective. It becomes exceptionally difficult for the soul to see reality and break free without powerful outside realignment assistance. Cosmic help. This enslavement of humanity has caused a bottleneck of energy here, which the opposing consciousness hopes to be able to manage indefinitely. It wants to maintain this controlled status quo. It will not succeed. I'll talk in detail about unwinding the intervention and how it is being done in a forthcoming article. Essentially, it is being tackled at multiple levels, from cosmic deities and incarnated star souls who hold nullifying, unwinding vibrations, to Gia herself, who has shaken off similar interventions in the past. This time, her shift into fifth density consciousness will rid the Earth of the intervention completely. More that in my book called Divinicus. And every single person can help by embodying our higher soul, taking personal ownership of our actions, and then fully expressing our truth sends a ripple of reharmonizing consciousness out into the field. If you deeply explore the patterns of your own behavior, you can unwind the effect of the intervention and both in your own life and the wider world. It sends out a message right into the heart of the opposing consciousness. Control does not work. Trust in the love and benevolence of the divine does. These vibrational messages have been applied directly through the fields since the intervention began. Now it's beginning to have a positive effect. Opposing consciousness, which has existed of the several interwoven vibrations, several species, is being unwound. The Anunnaki, the further higher aspects, appear to be steadily pulling away in alignment with the source, as are increasingly the Greys. It's left the lower raptor consciousness in charge, but without a higher dimensional head. It's working to intensify control, which is in itself. It's fueling the awakening movements, yearning for liberation. So, as it says, that if you want to overcome, you must first soften and surrender. When controlling agenda appears to be winning in that very moment, it is overextending itself and thereby becoming inflexible and brittle. The intervention is teetering on the brink. It is ready to shatter in the warm light of day. And there's plenty of all this information is on here as well. Open hand. And the websites are there. You can join them on Google+, Twitter, and all that. This is unique because it's more of a spiritual awakening. Open up your mind and enhance with harmony with the universe. This is and that's why I'm always pay attention and try to look at things a lot more clearer and a bigger picture. And I'm not that perfect, but I'm seeing things a lot more broader without fear or anxiety or anything like that. Awareness, yes. Preparation, yes. But each individual has a unique power. I think that's what I like about this page, because we all got something which we can achieve and inspire others around our communities and the world. This is why I always direct about government in general, which in Latin means control of the mind. That's part of their synthetic reality saying, you need us. And in reality, when you learn about your consciousness, spiritual awakening, or your conscious of awareness enhances, then you could say to everyone, they need us more we need them. The universe and Mother Nature is a lot more complex than you and I know. But I do have to say, we can all work together to ensure true peace, security, and spiritual prosperity. Many people maybe call this tribulation or the holy war. So you have your own views and I have mine, but we can still get to make things work together, having honorable discussions, showing love and respect for each other, or other words, homage, and share that with everyone else around, whether it's friend or foe. It doesn't matter. Strangers, acquaintances, regardless. Everyone has to know this stuff. If it's their decision to share it, fine. If not, that's their choice. So, this is how I observe things. That's why I always have that ending quote statement before I sign off. You guys know it already. And I don't have to say it until later. Alright? I'd like to thank everyone that takes the time to listen to this episode. And plus, feel free to share this with everyone on the social media network, and you can download this as well. I should have said the other way, but that's okay. And if you have any comments, compliments, criticisms, recommendations, love letters, hate letters, is okay. Always use it with decorum. You can hit me on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, Spreaker, and send your comments to iHeartRadio. Or, please feel free to email me at LokiLuck3, which is all together, at gmail.com. Once again, thank you for your time. But always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves, keep on spreading the love, and may your guardian spirits be with you.